Our reading from Matthew's Gospel today begins, "Now when Jesus heard this, he withdrew from there in a boat to a deserted place by himself." What was it that Jesus heard that affected him so much? It was the execution of John the Baptist, who you may recall had been imprisoned by Herod. John was not only a relative of Jesus, he was a well-known prophet who had foretold the coming of Jesus and of course had been present at Jesus' own baptism. Jesus must have been profoundly moved by John's fate, not only because of the sad end of a significant spiritual leader, but also as a foretaste of what would probably happen to himself. How many of us, when faced with the death of a close friend or relative, have also wanted to be on our own for a while, to grieve and to pray? Imagine that you'd rowed across a lake to be in a place where you could be still and quiet and let your grief flow out of you. Then, within a few minutes, you hear the noise of a crowd making for the same place. Wouldn't your reaction be to think rather unkindly about those people and get further away where you might still be able to be alone and quiet? Jesus didn't do that. The Gospel tells us that he had compassion on them and healed their sick, and that they were still there when it was evening, when Jesus made sure that the crowd of 5,000 was fed as well. This is another example of Jesus turning from his internal life, from his own concerns, to meet us where we are and respond to our needs. It would have been easy for him to have got back in his boat and gone somewhere else, but he didn't. He transformed his own feelings of sorrow into compassion for all those people who'd made the effort to leave their villages and to come and hear his teaching and bring their sick ones to be healed. Such was their faith, and Jesus amply repaid it. It's a reminder at times when we feel sadness and loss that God is walking alongside us and will not abandon us at our time of need. Sometimes it becomes hard to imagine that God has time to spare for each of us when there are so many things happening in the world that must cause him deep sorrow. But somehow, as part of that great mystery that we cannot really grasp, that constitutes our threefold God of Father, Son and Holy Spirit, he, or she, is able to accompany each of us with endless compassion. And it also reminds us how Jesus always put the well-being of others before his own interests, showing us that self-pity and self-interest are not really part of the kingdom of heaven. So we too, as followers of Jesus, are called to turn away from our individual griefs and concerns to support others who are suffering and show the world in our own small way a reflection of God's infinite mercy and love.